Morning, everyone. My name's Jessica, and I have a bit of background. Recently come back to Treasury after having a baby. I am responsible for managing all of the large-scale recruitment process that Treasury does, which is quite a few, in addition to the graduate recruitment space and now the Economist stream. So as a bit of a background, Treasury run both the Treasury Graduate Development Program and the Economist stream as independent streams. The Economist stream is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So the Australian Government Graduate Program is an initiative of the APS, or the Australian Public Service, to ensure prospective economists or economic graduates are available across a range of government departments and agencies. This is the first year this particular stream has run as an independent stream, as its own option. Last year was a trial year for the Australian government, and we did it as an opt-in function to the Treasury grads. The Economist stream this year, because it will run independently, we are looking at how many candidates we're going to have, and we have had quite a lot of interest across different departments across the government and agencies. Last year, we made 28 placements across Treasury, the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, ACCC, ACMA, and Department of Social Services. The 2021 graduate program was, like I said earlier, was an opt-in function for the Treasury graduate round. So we would just like to remind everyone who's listening that as an independent stream this year, you would need to apply for the Economist stream to be interested across the government, and the Treasury stream would be run separately. The Economist stream is a stream that is run by the APS, in addition to the general HR stream, generalist, STEM, and data streams, as Sarah previously spoke about. Treasury is leaving this program as we probably have the majority of economic grads across the government. We take roughly about anywhere between 50 to 60%, if not slightly higher some years, of our graduates are majoring or minoring in economics from their qualifications. So I think the things that everyone could expect as an APS Economist graduate, sorry, my tongue is twisted today, you will, in your roles, contribute to informing the decisions for policies for the good of the Australian people. There are opportunities to contribute to advice on a range of different policies. Some of them are specific to the functions of the market of the domestic and international economy, including the financial markets, digital and competition policy. You also get to normally work quite a lot in taxation, fiscal policy, and that includes your social, industrial and environmental policy. And you also get to look at the macroeconomic issues and the forecasting changes for the economy and the current economic environment. As you are aware, the current economic environment is substantially different to where it was 12 to 18 months ago. So it is quite a evolving beast as to what it's going to look like, and every individual department does look at economics slightly differently. You'd also get the opportunity to work on the economic issues on an international basis. Most of the departments that have opted in do have quite a presence internationally across a range of different economic forums, including G20, G7, and all those where we can contribute to. The Economist graduate stream has some quite strict eligibility for criteria. So you must be an Australian citizen by the end of the calendar year in which you apply. So you need to be an Australian citizen ultimately by December 2021 to be considered. You also need to have completed an Australian recognised undergrad or postgrad degree by the end of the calendar year. The minimum requirement is a bachelor degree, but as part of your degree, you must have a major or minor in economics. We are quite specific on that, just given the quality of economists across the government. They do need to be appropriately qualified, and your most recent qualification must be no more than 5 years old on the date that you lodge your application. You must also be willing to participate and locate in Canberra. Whilst we do have quite a large amount of jobs, the majority are all focused in Canberra. We have had interest across a range of different departments, which I'll mention them specifically later, but probably 95% of them are ACT based, and there is that option to relocate to Canberra or other state locations. Specifically, I can't speak for every department, but most of the departments actually offer relocation allowance and assistance with that. I know Treasury do, and we have quite a few graduates that relocate to Canberra for that process. You also must be willing and able to maintain an Australian government security clearance prior to your commencement. Every department that has opted into the Economist stream has a minimum of a baseline security clearance requirement, which would need to be maintained throughout the course of your career in the APS. They're quite strict on that, and the process is quite detailed. So the successful applicants, once the process has finished, ultimately will be placed in a merit pool that will be considered by the participating agencies and Commonwealth entities for the graduate program. Each department and agency that does opt in has their own graduate program features, which would be discussed with you in the event that you were successful. So I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview of the recruitment process and where we're going from here. So the Australian Government Graduate Program is a centrally coordinated end-to-end recruitment process that Treasury is managing on behalf of the APS, in addition to their Treasury round. What that means for Treasury is we're going to develop the assessment methodologies to determine the applicant's suitability. We're going to facilitate the assessment process and ultimately go through the interview stage, the selection report stage, and then what we will do is develop quite a comprehensive pool of suitable economist graduates that can be accessed through a range of different agencies. At this stage, we have Treasury, which we assume at this stage would take the majority, the ACMA, so the Australian Communications and Media Authority, Prime Minister and Cabinet, ACCC, Education, DSS, Department of Agriculture, the Australian Government, the Attorney General's Department and Department of Industry. The process itself will be a formal assessment that will be conducted based on your resume to identify suitable candidates through a robust process and then go from there. So how the process will work for us is that applications are opened at the moment. They're due to close on the 26th of April. All candidates will be asked to submit a resume, applicant response and academic transcript, which is quite important. I know Sarah previously talked about the process of your CV, so I won't touch on that, but that is something that we would support in the same process from that. Applications then be assessed following on from the 26th of April against quite a robust methodology that Treasury have. We have over the career or over the history of Treasury developed quite a robust assessment process based on what is required for an economist in the APS. It is a specialist skill, and we do like to think of ourselves as quite competent in assessing people there. Candidates will be at this stage assessed by resume only. There won't be an additional assessment process prior to going to interview. Once we do a shortlist process, the interviews will be conducted. Given that the amount of candidates we receive interstate outside of Canberra, we do offer the option to hold all of our interviews via WebEx. A selection report would then be developed, and then we would create a merit pool. Then we'd work with each individual agency to still require their needs of the specific skill sets, and then we would help to facilitate the placement of candidates into those specific roles. At this stage, we've got 40 plus requests for economist graduates in addition to the Treasury cohort. So at the conclusion of the process, as I mentioned, Treasury will participate in the liaising between the actual individuals and the departments to ensure that there is a right fit and making sure that candidates are allocated appropriately. We will give the candidates the option to identify our preferred agency in this particular case, and we will take it into account. There is no promise that we can meet that requirement if you are successful, but it is something we will try and work closely with everyone because we do know people have preferences. From here, what we would be looking at is candidates to apply through the Treasury website. The Treasury website is the hub that we are using to consolidate all of the applications. We ask that you do provide your personal details and make sure they are correct and up to date. Do a quick QA on your information. It's not uncommon for people to have errors in their applications, and on quite a few occasions, even this morning, we are struggling to contact people because their phone numbers and emails aren't correct. Once you complete your application and upload it into the system, please, I would like to remind you all to include the most recent academic transcript. Now, I know some people are still finalising their qualifications and they still would like to process this. Just include what you have to date if needed, and you can put a note in there saying additional information can be provided later. Alternatively, if you didn't want to apply for the Treasury website, you could go to the Australian Government Graduate Program website, and that'll lead you to the same application page. So a couple of questions that we are anticipating we will get. Sorry, there's a couple of points I would like to point out. We are anticipating we'll get questions. We would like to remind everyone that you can apply for both the Treasury Graduate Program and the Economist stream. These are two completely separate processes, and for this year, and this year is the first year, if you apply for one, like the Economist stream, for example, your application will need to be submitted separately into the Treasury Graduate Program. There isn't an assumption that you would apply for both. They are independent processes. And you can identify which agency you would like to apply for. At this stage, we are still liaising with a lot of the participating agencies, and some of them are still increasing their numbers. So the number of graduates that we do require across the APS may grow. And we also are expecting a couple of smaller agencies to opt in as well. Once we get you through into the merit pool, that merit pool is active for 12 months, but the majority of the graduate recruitment development programs do start in February of 2020, and they would all be managed independently by their specific participating agency. That's, without going over some of the process that Sarah's done, that's probably where we're sitting at the moment. We'd be happy to take any questions outside of the process when the individual breakout rooms open.